Good morning, Darius v. Daughtry.
Good morning, Jennifer R. Hudson.
It's so good to see you today. Thank you so much for being here. You and I, we've known each other for a while. I was actually trying to remember how many years. I know it's been a few years. We originally met through Radical Partners, right? Is that
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah. So that
Um,
was like 2020, yeah, or
that was
2019.
20. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I think it was before the pandemic.
Mhm.
And we also connected through Miami Open for Business. You wanted some communications consulting. I hope I was helpful. And most recently, through the Saltwater Fellows, you're one of the amazing Saltwater Fellows. I have attended at least one of your performances, and I intend to attend more. I'm so excited about the Shakespeare thing coming up.
Mhm.
And Bard and Bars, you can tell us the name of it. And
Yeah.
I am just always inspired by you, Darius. I'm always inspired by the poems that you so lovingly share with us on social media, and I just feel like you're just an amazing human being. So I'm very happy that you're here today in your CEO capacity, and I'm really grateful that you're here. So thank you. Leaders Talk Communications is all about highlighting CEOs and whether in business or nonprofit and how they manage communications with the different folks that they have to communicate with their employees, with the people that they're serving if you're a nonprofit. And so I'm just going to jump right in. And my very first question is just to tell us about your work. And I want to know what inspires you most about what you do.
Yeah. So first of all, let me say thank you. I'm excited to be here. Always excited to share space with you and talk to you.
Thank
And
you.
of course, you've been very helpful um, these past few years as we've grown and expanded and had to talk to more people in different ways. So definitely
Mhm.
appreciate. Yeah. So Art Prevails Project is I would say my daytime work, but it is not just daytime. It is daytime, nighttime work. Um, and it is an organization committed to impacting communities through the power of storytelling, through the power of arts education, and community-based arts initiatives. And
Mhm.
so, we've been doing that for approximately 10 years now. It's kind of
Mhm, mhm.
and steadily, we've continued to grow and expand and evolve.
I
And
love that. Talk a bit about the community-based art and the arts initiatives. Like, what does that look like?
yeah, so we do everything. We do things from we do an annual book fair, a book
Oh,
festival. It's a literature festival. It's called Our Voices Festival of Words, and it's a
mhm.
3 day festival that utilizes the literary arts as a basis for community engagement and involvement. This year, we distributed over 2,000 books to residents and students. We've brought down Pulitzer Prize winning poets and
Oh, wow.
writers and such, but and then also elevating our local artists. So even though it's the festival of words, the words not is not just in the book. So what is words as uh, a songwriter look like? What is words as a novelist? What is words? What Yeah. So all aspects of words
Oh.
we kind of lean into.
I
Um,
am so embarrassed that I did not know you do that. What? When is that?
It happens in April. So April is National Poetry Month. So
Yeah.
it happens in
Oh,
April.
perfect for you.
Yeah. So no, it's beautiful. And really, it's our third year. We've done it this 3 times. And what's super interesting is that of all the things that we do a lot of stuff, but that has become for me um one of the things I'm most proud of. And
Yeah.
mainly because I think about how um books, literature, changed my life. The time I spent
Mhm.
in libraries as a kid and thinking about the fact that many young people and adults don't have books in their homes and don't have access
Yeah.
to relevant literature. So being able to see 8-year olds hold these books with covers that have pictures that look like them on them, and making that connection for me, it just makes me feel good. It feels like I'm doing something,
Oh,
you know.
oh, that's powerful. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to love libraries when I was growing up. As a matter of fact, that was like our fun day. We didn't realize that we were actually giving my mother a break, but she would drop us off at the library. My sister would make a beeline to the Charles Schultz, like Charlie Brown books, and I would make a beeline to Greek mythology. There was this Dolaire's Greek mythology book that I loved. And I love the smell of libraries. I love libraries. I love that you do that. So now that I know, this April I was in Spain, but next April I'm there.
If you're
So what
not
inspired?
yeah.
What'd you
That's
say?
not in Portugal or somewhere, it's so cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us what inspired you. What inspired you most about what you do, Darius? Because I mean, you're making impact, obviously.
Yeah. So what inspires me most, I think, is the moments where I see or hear from audience members or community members about the impact that something that we're doing
Mm,
has. We do
yeah.
theatrical we do theatrical productions, and after each production there's an audience, like there's a talk back, so we have conversations, and
Ah,
some of the things that the people say after the show, for me, is this confirmation and affirmation about the path that we are on and I am on. Also,
yeah.
there's also like surveys, and so at all of our events, we try, excuse me, we try to get as many people to complete a survey as possible. That's tough. It's a hit or miss with surveys, but those that do, when you go back and read the information or the response that they have, that inspires me to continue to go on, because like the consensus is that what we're doing and what we're giving is needed, and it is
Mm,
making people connect in ways that they aren't connecting otherwise. So
yeah.
I'm inspired by that.
When you get that feedback, I know that's powerful. I just thought of something. I don't know if you're familiar with tools like Mentimeter or those other tools you get immediate survey feedback. I wonder if there's some fun way to integrate that into the performances that you do. Take out your phones right now and scan this QR code and go here, and then you could have like questions that you ask them about the performance right then and integrated
Hmm,
it. Anyway, something to think about.
something
It's
maybe, yeah, that's something. What's it
That could
called?
be fun. One is Mentimeter,
Okay.
Mentimeter.
All right.
I think you might be able to do some of that with Talkadot. I'm not sure if that's the free version, but Talkadot is another one.
I'll
But yeah, look into those like immediate audience feedback kind of applications.
check that out.
So a little tip. Okay, so tell
Yeah.
me about the different stakeholders that you communicate with as CEO of Art Prevails Project, and where you feel you thrive in communicating with those stakeholders.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because this is just um, a conversation, something that we're working on internally right now, is that specific thing about how we are communicating with different stakeholders. And so um,
Mhm.
we have a lot. Essentially, we have a lot of different stakeholders. So, real quick, our programs are basically in three buckets. There's the arts education, there is the
Mhm.
community engagement, and then there is the production and performance side. And so
Mhm.
when it comes to performances, we have to talk to potential audience members. We have to talk to performers, potential aspiring performers. And we have to talk to to theaters and production spaces, right? And
Mhm.
when it comes to community, we need to speak to community, members of various ages and demographics. Also,
Mm.
but also we need to speak to um, varied communities and spaces, from municipalities, so cities or community partners. And when it comes to arts education aspect, we need to speak to educators, teachers, principals, parents, and students. And that's all those people. And then we're not even going to talk about, we'll talk about now. We also need to speak to potential, like our current donors and sponsors and funders, and then
Right.
potential donors, sponsors, and funders. Uh,
That's a lot.
yeah,
How do you prioritize those audiences? Well, first of all, I want to hear, I should let you answer my question.
yeah.
Where do you feel you thrive the most as Darius? in communicating with those
So,
different audiences?
well, what's great is that for the first 8 years, 7 years of Art Prevails Project, all the communications was me,
Mm.
and then I would I've had little help here, but in the past year and a half, like I brought somebody on just to focus on social media initially, uh,
Yeah, awesome.
and then now that same person is basically I've been promoted to be like our communications manager, so they're responsible for putting out whatever comes out of our Art Prevails project. So the initial time was spent kind of downloading vision and brand ideas and things
Mhm.
to her. So a lot of the things that you see from Art Prevails project now it comes from her, but from me too, but from her, right?
Oh,
Uh,
no, I just lost my connection with you.
oh, can you hear me?
Oh,
No.
good grief. Okay, you're back now.
All right. Okay. All right. Cool.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It must be my connection.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. So yeah, so it's what's great is that I think right now we do best in speaking to like artists. I think that is the top of the line is like like artists, like those who come to our shows and artists and art lovers, those who love to experience art experiences, come to things. We do really well speaking to them and also to actual the artists that are out there. So part of us is to build community of artists. And so I think we do
Mhm.
a good job of that. We do a decent job of speaking to our current donors and sponsors and funders, right? We do a pretty good job of that. We could do a lot better, and we're working on that. I think
Mhm.
probably what we need to do better, and what every nonprofit wants to do better of is speaking more to potential sponsors and donors and funders. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how do you connect with them? Yeah,
But I mean, it's so important to also like nurture the and love on the relationships that you have, because you could even encourage the folks who are currently supporting you to help you find other supporters, to inviting them to bring someone into the fold.
yeah,
So I mean, if you've got to prioritize, which you should be doing as if for communications, definitely like prioritizing and finding ways to just like touch each of your current donors consistently.
yeah,
No, that's great. Every time I ask this question of a leader, they lead with we. We do this, but I want to hear what Darius's secret sauce is. Like,
Mm,
what is it about Darius that helps you connect with those donors? What do you think it is that inspires um, people to what is it about you that
yeah.
that you believe inspires people to want to support your work, your organization? Because your role as the head of the organization is important, and there is something special in you that draws people into Art Prevails Project, especially if, as you say, you were the one leading things for like 10 years, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, so I think you said the phrase secret sauce, and I think what I may have that some others don't. So a lot of our donors and sponsors and funders have at some point seen some artistic work of mine, right? They've
Mhm.
heard me perform some poetry, or they've come to a show, or they've seen a video or something, right? And so that being an entry point for a lot of people
Mm.
really helps, right? And I think
Yeah.
and then once they say, "Oh man, I love this thing you did," and I'm like, "Well, let me tell you what I really do," and
Oh, it's your entree.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
really that is a great entry point in many ways, and also I think I'm a rather authentic person, and
Mhm.
so I show up how I
Not
show.
rather authentic, authentic.
Yeah, so yeah, I show up how I show up,
Yeah, that
and
is true.
I think that anybody that is really interested in supporting the work that we do, that I do, that at some point they've looked at me and they've connected to me as a person, and
Mhm.
um, and I'm not. See, I'm really authentic, and so the point I was about to curse, so I'm saying, what, let me not curse right here. So like I am I
Keep it
I don't
clean.
I don't BS, right? Like I don't BS. I show
Yeah,
up, right? And so that I think that people feel that and connect to that in ways,
yeah. Yeah,
and
you're an artist and your authenticity. Yeah,
that's
that's
my secret
great.
sauce. That's my secret
Mhm.
sauce.
So So you've got all these different stakeholders with whom you're communicating, it's hard for me to get out of like consulting and coaching mode. So I would just say, please make sure you prioritize those based on this resource that you have of like one person and you, because you can't do it all, and find creative ways to use AI to
Mm.
help you develop like newsletters and things like that to lighten your load.
You know,
I know we've talked about
you know.
it's
uh,
it's a think of it as an admin assistant,
and so yes, and so there's that part, right?
learning your voice.
And so I understand that part. I get it. Also, I do think about it from a ecological standpoint as well, and how
Yes.
what AI is doing to our environment. So the more
Yeah.
we use it, the more we're going to need to use it, because we're not going to have other actual natural resources left in the world. So we're going to have to ask AI, how do we make something that replaces water? Because there's no more water.
Uh,
You know.
I don't know if we're facing that well. We may eventually be facing that dire future,
Well,
but, yeah. Um, okay, that's a conversation we have to have for another day, but I just the main point is just to be able to prioritize so that you can effectively serve and nurture the audiences that are most critical without ignoring the all of them, but,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So let's talk about challenges. What's a big communications challenge that you faced as a leader, and how did you handle that? A communications challenge that you faced, and how did you handle that?
Yeah, so I think it's what's going to be funny is that I think the what I mentioned as like my secret sauce is like the biggest challenge I had, right? In
Mhm.
kind of initially, I was like, I want to make sure that there's a separation between Darius, the artist, and Art Prevails Project, the organization. Like I felt that I needed to do that, right? But I think I because I initially didn't want, like, every time I showed up in a space that people connected me. Oh, you're going to talk about our education. It's like, nah, I got this poem about love, and I want you to listen to this poem about love and not about these kids, right? And so I struggled trying to just keep those like lanes separate,
Mhm.
and I I eventually realized, just through some conversations, that yeah, that ain't it. Like that's um that ultimately, who I am, bringing who I am authentically into the spaces is important. And so even when it comes to, like, as Art Prevails Project, as leading Art Prevails Project, is communicating the fact that, okay, yes, I am an artist first and
Yeah.
foremost in this space. I am an artist. And I do this, and I do this. Like, I'm not like a used to be artist, right? I'm an artist. I do this, and let that be a part of it. Um, and also, on the flip side, in the spaces in which I am representing myself, be unafraid, be of speaking about and through and connected to things that we're doing organizationally. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so I think that, and it took me a while to get that. It was, and I don't know where the the hesitation for me was. I don't know why, but it was something that was a stickler for me, and it was I look back and I see it in the way that I was communicating the things I was putting out into the world. I see it. I see that
Mm.
there's really like intentional delineation between the two, and so now,
Between you as artist and
yeah,
you as CEO of Art Prevails
yeah,
Project.
yeah,
Yeah. How do you so it's really like it's both and,
hmm,
owning both of those and allowing them to support um, and really benefit from one another. What
yeah.
does that look like in the real world? someone sees you, tell me what that looks like in the real world.
Today,
As a Yeah,
yeah,
being unafraid of those
yeah,
to connect
um,
those two things.
yeah. So I think in the real world, like it looks like if you look at on our social media, like uh, so I personally I share my own personal poems on my spaces and my Instagram and
Mhm.
Facebook and stuff, you know. But also being okay because at first I wouldn't even I wouldn't share my own stuff on our social media. Like I'll put my poem there and I wouldn't share it over there. But
Yeah,
being okay and so like my communications person asking me, she's like, I noticed that you never really share stuff over here. Do you mind? And I'm like, nah, yeah, go ahead and share it. Put it up like so repurposing
yeah,
and sharing it over in that space. And then also, you know, all of the stuff that we're doing at Art Prevails Project, making sure that in my personal networks that I'm sharing, that I'm collaborating, that we're doing collaborative posts between myself and Art Prevails Project, right? Like to just to lean more into like, okay, when you see me in the space, this is all that I am, right? And then
mhm.
for Art Prevails Project, you know, being like, okay, this is who we are, and this is who is leading this organization. This is this artist that's leading this organization.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, an artist leading an arts organization. Um, I think it's so smart that the communications manager asked you about using your poetry and collaborating on social to show it on the Art Prevails site. That's really, really great. And they can use that as well with great copy and as a bridge to talk about the work that Art Prevails Project does.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad that you resolved that conflict.
Yeah, me
That's
too. Me
great.
too. Me too.
Yeah. So what's been the most successful vehicle you've used that's helped you communicate more effectively with the people who are important to your organization? Um, is it and with any of your key stakeholders, um, what do you find works well for you?
Hmm. I think it depends, and so
And I should clarify, I'm sorry, I'm thinking in terms of channels.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
so it depends. So I think like I think our Instagram, like our Purpose Project's Instagram is a great tool. So you're like, man, where is the engagement sometimes? But I think when you look at something like something, it depends on what it is. Like we're getting more and more engagement, so I think that's great. Um,
Mhm.
I think the consistency of like our newsletter, I think has been great, and we have been getting like pretty decent like open and click rates on most of the things. So I think that reaches a broader swath of folks,
Yeah.
because everybody, all of our potential funders or whomever aren't just like hanging out and spending all their time on Instagram, right? So uh I think and seeing, and then we're getting what I'm able to do is like that people open, and then they're responding to this, like to these emails they're getting. And so
Yeah.
so that's been cool. So I think Instagram and those two. I was talking last night about um us trying to or needing to lean into TikTok a bit. I think I think a lot of the things that
Oh,
we
man.
I think a lot of the things that we have and that we do, like, it is a perfect fit to engage via TikTok. But that means, like, I don't know who's gonna be doing that. I don't know who is going to be
Well, that
yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
the thing, right? You engage in a channel, you gotta have the resources to nurture that channel. It's just like nurturing your donors,
right,
nurturing the channels is important. I agree with you though. I think, again, it always depends on the goal. Like what is it that we're trying to achieve as an organization? And is this channel gonna help us get to that goal? If if a goal is to drive people to your performances, like TikTok could be amazing. If the goal is to educate people about the work you do with kids, with teens, youth, it could be great, especially for the youth themselves.
yeah,
Yeah, that's something definitely worth considering, right?
yeah.
Okay, so I always ask this question. My last question is always, if you could wave a magic wand,
Mm.
what would you want the world to know most deeply, to understand and know most deeply about you, or about the work that you do at Art Prevails Project, or both?
Mm. S- hmm. I said I'm authentic, but I don't know. Now you're opening up some deep stuff here, Jennifer. So maybe we'll stick to Art Prevails Project.
I mean, you can share yours. You know, it's
What I want. So I think it's more about I would love for the world to know, to realize, to lean into the fact of the importance of arts in everyday life. I think
mm,
oftentimes we view it as something very like tertiary or like as um as a
something we do on the weekend.
something extra, right? Something extra
Yeah.
or a treat, right? But no, like really looking at the word, like the fact that art is embedded and connected to pretty much every aspect of your life. There's an artist involved in some way, and you
In
know,
what ways? Give me some examples.
so you watch TV, right? Like, or something you turn on, anything on is like someone sat down and wrote this thing. Someone created this jingle to this song for the commercial that you just
Mm,
watched, right? The building you just went into was designed by an artistic mind, right?
yeah.
As you drive down the street and see, oh, there's a box, but this box has this flamingo painted on it, right? Like, like it's everywhere. It's in every single thing. The fact that the way we know our alphabet, and it is, a song, right? We know it from a song, right? As a rhythm
Yeah.
to it, right? So, and studies, from people way smarter than me have shown just the power that exposure to involvement in the arts, what that has on people from a educational, social, emotional, community, um, and like from all those bases, like the impact is phenomenal and it's
Mhm.
undeniable. And the more we think about that and lean into that and give honor to the arts and artistic experiences from a young age, but not even from a young age as well, because I think, we see, I do some work with patients at Baptist Hospital and their Cancer Institute. And I do a poetry writing workshop with them every week.
Oh,
And
wow.
and so seeing that and being involved in that way and seeing what that does for those particular patients or people, I don't like to call them patients, people, for those people,
Yeah.
you know, um, is powerful. I tell them all the time that's like my favorite hour of the week is being with them and
Yeah.
hearing their stories and giving them an opportunity to write and express and emote and
Yeah.
it's
That's
our
beautiful work that you're doing. Wow. Yeah, that's such a wonderful way to close our conversation. Like, arts is just a part of everything that we experience in some way.
yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Darius. I appreciate you.
Anytime. I'll come back next week. You can come back.
No, oh wait, you gotta tell people about,
Okay.
is it Bars and Bars or Bars and
Oh,
Bars?
it's the Bard in Bars.
The
So
Bard in
yeah,
Bars.
yeah. So they called Shakespeare the Bard. That was his nickname, right? That's his.
Yeah.
Um, it's like Christopher Wallace and Notorious B.I.G. Biggie, right? Okay, that's
Yeah.
that's the Bard. And so the show is July 25th and 26th at the Brower Center for the Performing Arts, and it is a mixture of Shakespeare and but with told through hip hop. But the music is played by a 12-piece ensemble, from New Cannon Chamber Collective. So we got
I love it.
got violins, violas, cello, drums playing these songs, but you have Macbeth and Shakespeare and Juliet, telling us their stories in a way that is very interesting and relatable and engaging.
I'm so excited about going. I've already marked it on my calendar. I'm pretty sure I'm here, so I'm
You
so
can't just mark
excited
it, you
about
can't just
going.
mark it on the calendar. You can't. You can't
No,
just
no, I'm gonna get my ticket. I'm gonna
say
get my
you
ticket.
mark it
I
on the
know.
calendar. Mm-mm. Don't get the ticket.
I'm getting my tickets. My
Yeah,
tickets. Thank you so much for being here, Darius. I can't wait to see the show. Continue doing the amazing work you're doing, and I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate
Bye.
you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye bye. All right.